Hello and welcome back to Good Morning Europe. Our top stories this hour. Rising troop numbers, rising alarm. The US sends more soldiers to the Gulf amid an escalating war of words with Iran. Spain joins a Franco-German plan to build a new fighter jet for Europe. And over in the Cube, our social media news desk.
International outcry after Egypt's first democratically elected president dies in court.
And he's recently been released, but he's pledging to fight on for democracy. We'll hear from Hong Kong dissident Joshua Wong about his plans to lead protests against Beijing. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Takunbo Salako. The war of words between the United States and Iran is escalating following the tanker attacks in the Gulf region. Washington has accused Iran of being behind the attacks, while Tehran has denied any responsibility. While both countries are now upping the stakes, Iran is expected to breach its threshold for enriched uranium within the next week. The limit was set out in the nuclear deal of 2015, which the US pulled out of last year. Meanwhile, the US has announced it's sending an additional 1,000 troops to the Middle East. Well, NBC News' Richard Engel has more on the ongoing argument over who exactly is responsible for the attacks on the oil tankers.
The U.S. and Iran are trading accusations and escalating their rhetoric over who attacked two tankers in the Persian Gulf. The U.S. military released what could be damning evidence, aerial reconnaissance video, which U.S. officials say shows Iranian sailors removing an unexploded mine from one of the attacked tankers, apparently to hide Iran's involvement. And this photo showing where the alleged mine was placed. President Trump called in to Fox News to say the Iranians were caught red-handed.
Well, Iran did do it, and you know they did it because you saw the boat. I guess one of the mines didn't explode, and it's probably got essentially Iran written all over it.
But the Japanese owner of one of the tankers insists his vessel was attacked not by a mine, but some kind of fast-moving explosive, which is how rescue ships first reported the attacks.
All station. Motor tanker front Altair in fire, most probably torpedo attack.
Iran says it was not involved. Tonight, tensions remain high. A U.S. military official said Iran was preventing tugboats from recovering one of the tankers.
And then in what seems to be a dangerous game of brinksmanship, Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan just announced that he has approved a request from U.S. Central Command for approximately 1,000 additional troops for force protection in the Middle East. He says it's a response to recent Iranian attacks and ongoing threats from the country. Richard Engel, NBC News, London.
Spain has joined a French-German project to build the next generation of European fighter jets. Unveiled in front of the French President Emmanuel Macron at the Paris Air Show yesterday, the mock-up of the new warplane served as a backdrop to the defense ministers of France, Germany and Spain signing a deal launching a trilateral framework of cooperation. Well, let's discuss this further with our reporter Alistair Sanford, who's been looking into the background. Alistair, this comes at an uncertain time for not only the sort of European defence project, but also as the UK is negotiating its way out of Europe.
Yes, Tokes, the context is a changing world here. That said, there has been a need to replace the Eurofighter Typhoon jet, which was developed back in the 80s and 90s. But yes,